Hello and welcome to the inside of the facelifted Hyundai, never know how to say that, Grand i10. My name is Ciro De Siena. This is the Cars.co.za YouTube channel, and if you're looking for a review of the Grand i10, well, you've come to the right place. And you probably know that already because you clicked on the YouTube title which said Grand i10 review. Anyway, if you're looking for a second-hand Grand i10, we have over 500 to choose from on our site, and you'll find the link to that stock in the description below. But let's get on with this review. Dream, search, drive. Cars.co.za.
Fafty Clerk knows that no matter what you've done for your country, and the ladies, you can still get caught with your pants down. Don't faff around, just claim via WhatsApp and get paid out quick fast. Budget, the official insurer of good South Africans.
So what are we dealing with here? Well, under the bonnet is a 1.2 litre engine. You also get a 1 litre 3-cylinder, which is probably going to be quite underpowered, especially if you're at altitude in Gauteng. Then you lose about 15% of the power and you only start off with about 48 kilowatts. So I think it's worth springing for this. The 1.2 litre 4-cylinder, 61 kilowatts, 114 Newton meters. Now those numbers might not mean very much, but suffice it to say that this is a pretty nippy car. There's enough power for overtaking on the highway, and around town, yeah, it feels pretty good. I don't have any complaints about the engine. And of course, more important really than power these days, unless you're buying a sports car, is fuel efficiency. And Hyundai claims 5.5 liters to the 100, and currently we're averaging 5.6, which is really close to the claim and very impressive indeed. So on just the 37 litre tank, you're looking at like about 700 k's of range, which is very impressive. Another aspect of this drivetrain that's really impressed me is the quietness of it. I mean, sure, if you wring the thing's neck, you start to hear that it's a small little engine, but when it's just idling, you barely know the car is on. It's actually really impressive from that point of view. And if you're just cruising around comfortably like I am right now around Century City and not exactly pushing for the red line, well then it's a very quiet and comfortable ride. It rides like a car that maybe costs a bit more and a bit larger. I'm pretty happy with the ride quality as well in here. No real complaints. This is a pretty grown up little compact car. So I know many of you who watch the channel are always asking us to do budget car reviews. Now, while you can get into a Grand i10, the 1 litre manual, for 229,000 Rand, this, the top spec fluid 1.2, will set you back 279,000 Rand. And does that make it a budget car? Not so sure anymore. What does budget mean? Is nearly 300 grand a budget car? Maybe it is in today's market. I mean, these days, something like a BMW 1 Series, you can easily spend close to R1 million. A Volkswagen Tiguan, we had one on test the other day, which was north of 900,000 Rand. So the whole market has moved up, and of course the budget segment was going to move up. But the thing is, if you're shopping under the 200,000 Rand segment, then you're in cars like the Suzuki Espresso, for instance, and to be honest, I'd rather be in something like this. However, talking about Suzuki, that is a bit of a thorn in Hyundai's side, because the GLX, which is the top spec Swift, the 1.2 as well, has identical sized engine, almost identical power outputs, and yet it costs 40,000 Rand less. 40,000. When you're talking about cars at 279 under 300 grand, 40,000 Rand is quite a lot of money. So using the awesome compare tool on our app and also available on our main site, I went right through the spec sheet comparing this to the Suzuki GLX. And sometimes the GLX has something that this car doesn't, and sometimes it's the other way around. So for instance, you get keyless entry and a stop start button in the Swift. You don't get that here. However, here you get cruise control and you don't get that in the Swift. A nice touch though is that both of the cars have reverse cameras, although the Swift has park distance control as well as a reverse camera. Both have power steering though, electric windows all round, electric mirrors. The Hyundai has automatic lights, which the Swift doesn't have. So if you do a very detailed analysis of those cars, they do come out close at the end of the day. So it's difficult to see why there's a 40,000 Rand price difference between these cars. And importantly, in a safety aspect, both cars have 2 airbags. However, the Swift has ESP, electronic stability program, and this car only has ABS, which is curious to me because ABS and ESP are 2 systems which are interlinked. So I'm not sure why you would remove the ESP. I mean, I know it saves a bit of money and you can bring the price down, but it's weird that it's just missing from this car. Overall, this is an easy car to drive. Now that may sound like a bit of a vague statement, but it's because the controls are so nice and light and assisted. So the clutch is nice and light, the gear changes are nice and light, the steering is well assisted. It's the sort of car where you could do a lot of driving and get out the other side and not feel tired, not feel drained by the experience. And I feel like Hyundai really got that right in that respect. It is a nice little run-around car. And there are some nice touches to make the experience a bit better. You've got a height adjustable seat. That's how height adjustable seats work. And yeah, the interior, I mean, it's a sea of plastic at the end of the day. Don't get me wrong, plastic, 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 plastic over there. But at this end of the market, that is to be expected. But it is well screwed together plastic. I mean, Hyundai and Kia, they tend to get this sort of thing right. They tend to get their interiors right. And there's not a rattle or a squeak to speak of in here. So I have no problems with the interior. And there are some nice touches to make the car feel a bit fancy. So you've got a trimmed steering wheel, a leather trimmed steering wheel with contrast stitching. I mean, it's probably leather, but it feels nice. It feels like a leather steering wheel. You've got red accents everywhere to make the car feel a little bit sporty. And I like the seats. The seats are good. They're a sort of combination of vinyl and cloth with also some red piping. And that looks good. It feels a bit sporty. The infotainment system for this new model has become larger, and it does have your Android Auto and your Apple CarPlay, and it's incredible how important those technologies have become in cars. It's just what everyone looks for now, and it's super convenient, and it gives you all the functionality of your phone. So the car doesn't need to have sat-nav, which would have raised the price of the car, and so you just use the sat-nav on your phone, which is what everyone uses anyway. A nice touch in the interior is you do get a 12-volt socket. A nice touch in the interior is you do get a 12-volt socket. A nice touch in the interior is you get a 12-volt socket with 2 USB ports, and one is a Type C and one is a Type A, which I really like because it doesn't matter what cable you have, you now have the USB port to support your cable. So that's a pretty good touch. In this fluid model, which is the top spec model, you do get aircon. Now, it's not climate control aircon, it's not automatic. You do have to, fiddle with the knobs yourself, but it's very nice to have aircon, of course, in South Africa. It's getting hot in here, actually. We can't run the aircon while I do dialogue because it sounds terrible on the microphone, but I promise you that the aircon works. The multifunction steering wheel is very nice as well. You've got cruise control in this model, that's standard as well. You control that on the steering wheel, and then on the left hand side is your audio controls, and what's quite nice is you can pick up or drop calls from the steering wheel. You don't have to take your hands off the steering wheel. But I think something that definitely could have been improved, and it looks a bit cheap, is this microphone up here. It looks like such an aftermarket afterthought. You can see the wiring sort of falling out of the roof lining. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't bother me too much, but it might bother you if you're a bit sort of OCD about these things. Stay in the roof lining. It doesn't want to stay. Now let me chat to you about the gearbox. There's no sixth gear, which is okay in a car like this, not the end of the world. It might have been a nice addition because a sixth gear lowers your fuel consumption on the highway. It also lowers the revs of the car, so you don't get that sort of sustained high rev, that sort of buzzing when you're cruising. But the gear ratios are quite sensible. Fifth is actually good for cruising, and third is good for around town. It feels like it's been well thought out. And when you drop from fifth into fourth, if you want to go for an overtake, you do get almost all of the engine's power. It's not a huge amount of power, but it is a useful amount of power, and overtakes are not too difficult in this car. So it's not a bad highway cruiser. It is more of a town car, but I think if you do highway miles, you should be okay. Now, if you sit in a lot of bumper-to-bumper traffic, you're probably thinking, oh, I'd like the auto instead. It is a 4-speed auto, so it will feel a bit more sluggish compared to this car. And it costs 30,000 Rand more. Yeah, 30,000 Rand more if you want the fluid auto over this fluid manual, which, I mean, it's not hugely out of line with what the competition charges, but at least it's a proper auto. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. Now, when I say proper auto, it's what we sort of refer to as a slush box, which has a torque converter, and it's a nice box to drive. It shifts pretty much seamlessly. Now, at this end of the market, what tends to happen is the manufacturers offer an auto option on their cars, but it is actually what's known as an AMT, an automated manual transmission. Now, let me tell you how AMTs are to drive. They're crap. You really do not want an AMT. Now, how an AMT works is it's basically a robotized manual. So it's an actual manual gearbox, and it changes the gears for you itself. So you don't have a gear lever, you just have RND, and you select D if you want to go forward, obviously, and R if you want to go backwards. But there's no clutch pedal either, even though there is a clutch. So what happens is you're driving along and the car decides when to clutch for you. But that whole process takes a couple of seconds. So it's sort of this that's sort of what it feels like. It's like you're driving along and then you drive through a shed. Not a shed that's strong enough to stop you driving, just a shed that's strong enough to slow you down each time there's a gear change. It really is an awful way to drive. So when you go to a dealer and you're looking at a budget car and it says auto, you must ask, is this an AMT or is it a proper auto? And AMTs are cheaper than proper autos, but you don't want one, you want a proper auto. Righty-ho, welcome to the rear seats of the Grand i10, where we find 1x lap belt. Look, it's pretty usual in the budget car segment to not get a 3-point harness, but I know that you guys do appreciate a 3-point harness, which is why I always point this out. However, on the plus side, the Grand i10, the rear seats, very comfortable place to be. Way more space than you would expect. Look at the knee room, look at the headroom. That's more headroom than you get in a Ford Everest. There are drinks holders in the door pockets, which is quite useful. You do get 2 air vents and a USB port, which is nice. However, there's no center fold down thingy with drinks holders, so you just have to hold on to your coffee. Right, the boot of the Grand i10 is apparently the largest in the segment. Hyundai claims it's 360 liters, whereas the Polo Vivo is 280 and the Swift is even smaller, 268. But using my well-trained motoring journalist eye, by looking at that, I don't think it's 360 liters. I think it's a bit smaller. However, it is quite deep, which is quite useful. And even so, under that, you get a full-size spare wheel, which is very useful. You also get one of these, which I've never seen before. It's like a net hammock. It's like a hammock for your things, which you can easily remove and get out of the way. And then if you need, you can fold the rear seats down in a 60-40 split, which is a nice feature. You don't get it in every car in the segment, and that'll give you tons of space. And then if you need to close the boot lid, what you do is you use either your left or your right arm, and you grab onto it, and then you push down like that. Very clever. Right, let's talk about your backup and warranties here, because on the face of it, Hyundai does offer a pretty amazing warranty. It's 7 years, 200,000 kilometers, which makes it one of the longest in South Africa. And what that means is that for the last 2 years, all that's covered are the bits of the car that make it go forwards and backwards. So for instance, if the window motor dies, that's not covered, or if there's an electronic problem or infotainment system, for instance, whatever the case is, that is not covered in those last 2 years. Now, let's compare that to Suzuki, because their warranty is also pretty impressive. You get a 5-year, 200,000 kilometer warranty, and that's a full bumper to bumper warranty. So shorter in years, but the same amount of distance, which is pretty impressive. Now, when it comes to service plans, unfortunately, the Suzuki has the Hyundai beat again, because with Suzuki, you get 2-year 30,000, whereas with Hyundai, you get 1-year 15,000. That means it only covers one service. And so for the rest of that warranty, up to 200,000 kilometers, the services are for your own account. And yeah, that's not great. I feel like they could have done a little bit better there on the warranty, considering the list price of this vehicle. Right, thanks very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, we have a massive back catalogue of over 700 videos. So if you're looking for a review on a new or used car that you're looking to buy, then go check out and search through our back catalogue. I'm almost sure you will find something you're looking for. And also, if you just want to watch some entertainment, we've got lots of drag races and track races and that sort of thing as well. We'd love it if you subscribed and joined us on our journey. And of course, if you're looking to buy a new or used car or sell the car that you have, Cars.co.za is the best place to do that. Just go to Cars.co.za, which is the actual address of the website, and you'll find everything you're looking for. Right, I'm Ciro De Siena. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye. Cars.co.za. Not only is Cars.co.za the best place to find your dream car, but it's also the easiest place to sell your current car. Check out the sell car section on our main website. Simply list your car's details and all of our dealers will take bids on your car. You just choose the highest price. Boom, your car's gone. On to your next one. Right, thanks very much for watching the video. Okay, I think I'm done. Yeah, I'm finished now.
A lifetime guarantee on all repairs is a lifetime of sidestepping, tackling, and modeling your speedos happily. Budget, the official insurer of good South Africans.